So with Abattoir of Zero, many players are probably trying to get creative with their builds to get to the next tier. And having played a lot of Sorcerer myself since launch and doing a lot of testing and bug reporting on the forums, I finally decided to make a video to try and bring some awareness to the problems with Sorcerer build making in Diablo 4. As I mentioned in my previous video, I'm a long-term Path of Exile player. In Path of Exile, for the most part, skills have consistent wording that can be learned by players that define the behavior of a skill or effect. Skills that require being literally cast by yourself actually say so explicitly, meaning you know they wouldn't work if you tried to trigger them through some other means. So to use Diablo 4's terminology, those skills wouldn't work if you use things like lucky hits, buffs such as unstable currents, or enchantments. The problem with Diablo 4 Sorcerer tooltips is that it's not clear or consistent whether one mechanic is supposed to work with another, and I have seen many players unfortunately making the mistake of thinking that two things work together only to be disappointed later. So I list all of the examples or bugs that I can remember since the launch of the game that have still not been fixed, or players have accepted the behavior as it is, whether it is intended or not. So to begin, I think the main problem with Sorcerer tooltips is that it's not clear what constitutes casting a spell, and or whether the tooltip wording actually matters because of contradictions or bugs. I will provide multiple contradictory examples between enchantments, legendary aspects, and unique items. The first skill I will start with is Lightning Spear. The Splintering Energy aspect says you have a chance to spawn an additional Lightning Spear when you cast it. From my testing, there is no way to spawn two Lightning Spears at the same time other than literally directly casting it yourself. The spawned Lightning Spear also does not count as a cast. Furthermore, the Lightning Spear enchantment effect also does not count as casting a shock skill. Although I think the Splintering Energy aspect is very weak and shouldn't be restricted to self-casting, the wording could make sense so far if everything else was consistent. The concept of casting a skill first doesn't make sense when we introduce Unstable Currents. Unstable Current says it triggers a free cast when you cast a shock skill. However, none of the free spells from Unstable Currents actually count as casts. Assuming this is intended, cast should not be used like that in the tooltip, and the stable and overwhelming current aspects have the same problem. Now I'll read the Static Surge legendary node. Static Surge says your next cast of Chain Lightning or Charged Bolts makes the enemies vulnerable and restores mana. Given that the previous behaviors that I've described do not work, Static Surge should not give mana back from Chain Lightning enchantment or from Unstable Currents, since those skills are not cast directly by yourself. Yet, Static Surge works with any way you can create a Chain Lightning or Charged Bolts. Next, let's look at the Staff of Lam Esen. I'm going to keep calling it that because it had to be named like that on purpose. So, it says your casts of Charged Bolts have a chance to be attracted to enemies and last longer. Although this tooltip uses cast, Charged Bolts generated by Unstable Currents actually get the attraction effect. This unique should probably just say your Charged Bolts rather than your cast of Charged Bolts. However, the attraction effect does not work with a Charged Bolt enchantment, so this could be a bug in either case. For Ball Lightning, we have Wizard's Ball Lightning that says it generates crackling energy if an enemy is hit 4 times by a single cast. However, the Ball Lightning enchantment does not say it casts Ball Lightning, yet the static Ball Lightning still generate crackling energy from the upgrade. Destructive Ice Shards says that 5 enemies have to be hit in a single cast to become vulnerable, yet Destructive Ice Shard gets added to the Ice Shards enchantment tooltip, which does not say that it casts Ice Shards, while Greater Ice Shards does not modify the enchantment tooltip, even though it does not require Ice Shards to be cast. Furthermore, what does it even mean for the Destructive Ice Shards upgrade to affect the Ice Shards enchantment? It only spawns 1 Ice Shard, and even when you spawn 5 Ice Shards, it doesn't make all 5 of the enemies vulnerable. So this upgrade just honestly doesn't make any sense for the Ice Shards enchantment. Next is the Elementalist aspect and the Elemental Dominance passive. These two are probably the most commonly misunderstood or used incorrectly. The crit chance bonus from Elementalist aspect does not work for any skills that are not cast directly. This is confusing because Unstable Currents uses the cast wording in the tooltip. Elemental Dominance has a similar wording to the Elementalist aspect, however the damage bonus from it is so low it would take a lot of work to verify whether it worked with enchantments or Unstable Currents. While not related to cast, another tooltip issue or bug is that Summoned Hydra burning damage upgrade has 0% lucky hit chance. I've seen other people trying it in their builds unaware that it doesn't work if they also use the Firebolt enchantment. This seems like a bug to me and would be a small buff for burning sorcerer builds if it actually worked. So how would I fix these? For the things that currently work together for sorcerer, intentionally or not, such as the Staff of Lam Esen, Wizard's Ball Lightning, or Static Surge, I don't want them to get nerfed by Blizzard fixing the skill or fixing the tooltip. I would rather them just make everything work with everything so we can make cool builds. Blizzard should use a wording like, you directly cast if directly casting the spell is required. With the removal of these restrictions, Sorcerer can make so many more builds than just Ball Lightning, and I think everyone is tired of Ball Lightning at this point. If these skill restrictions are not lifted, the tooltips need to be clear and consistent, and many of these effects that require direct casting need significant buffs. That's the end of my feedback on Sorcerer builds, and I hope I'm not the only one frustrated with the tooltips. If there's any other bugs or things that people think should work, please feel free to post them in the comments. I also want to thank Maxroll for their build planner, which made it very easy to get the screenshots used in this video. And I also think they have the best build planner of all the Diablo 4 websites. Thank you.